Have you ever wondered what your favorite fairy tales were like before Disney sprinkled them with magic and happy endings? Beneath the glitter and songs lies a chilling reality. And tonight, we're stepping into the shadows of the storybook, where innocence meets cruelty and where happily ever after comes with a sinister twist. Mirror, mirror on the wall, the truth it tells is darker than you recall. In the grim version, Snow White's nightmare begins not with a poisoned apple, but with obsession. The queen, her stepmother, is consumed by a vanity so deep it's almost supernatural. Every morning, she stands before her enchanted mirror, whispering that familiar line. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? But this mirror is not a harmless ornament. It breathes, it listens, and it speaks truths no one should hear. Its voice slithers through the air, smooth and cruel, feeding the queen's deepest fears, that her beauty is fading, and that her power will fade with it. When the mirror names Snow White as the fairest, something inside the queen fractures. Her reflection warps in her eyes, youth replaced by desperation. What began as vanity transforms into hatred, a hunger to destroy what she cannot control. She summons her huntsman, voice trembling with cold fury, and orders him to take the girl into the forest, kill her, and return with proof. Snow White's lungs and liver. But the horror doesn't end there. In the Brothers Grimm version, the queen devours them, believing that by eating her stepdaughter's organs, she will absorb her beauty and strength. It is an act not of envy alone, but of possession, consuming innocence to preserve herself. This is no tale of a jealous monarch, but of a woman drowning in her reflection, clawing for youth as it slips through her fingers. In the mirror's cold gaze, beauty is no longer a gift. It's a curse that demands a sacrifice. Not all killers carry their orders to the end, but mercy can still be terrifying. Dragged deep into the forest, Snow White's small hands trembled as the huntsman led her further from the castle. The path narrowed, shadows stretching like claws beneath the canopy. Every crunch of a leaf echoed like a countdown. When they reached a clearing, the huntsman stopped. His breath was heavy, his grip on the knife shaking. He had been ordered to kill her, to silence the girl whose only crime was being beautiful. Snow White's eyes, wide with confusion, met his. In that moment, the hunter's resolve shattered. He saw not a rival to the queen, but a terrified child. Lowering his blade, he whispered that she must run far, and never return. His mercy was genuine, but mercy could not erase the horror of his orders. To protect himself, he slaughtered a wild boar, removing its lungs and liver to take back to the queen as proof. When the queen received them, she smiled, a slow, venomous curl of satisfaction. Without hesitation, she cooked and ate them, believing she had consumed Snow White's very essence. The act was more than cruel. It was ritual, a grotesque reflection of her vanity. Meanwhile, Snow White fled deeper into the forest, her white dress torn by thorns, her breath shallow and frantic. Every snapping branch behind her felt like pursuit. The trees seemed to whisper her name, and the darkness closed in like a living thing. She was free from the huntsman, but not from the curse of envy that had marked her. Her nightmare had only just begun. Seven protectors, but their bargain was far from pure kindness. Lost, frightened, and half-starved, Snow White stumbled through the endless forest until she saw a faint glow flickering between the trees. Following it, she found a small cottage, strange and silent, the light of a single lantern swaying in the window. Inside, the home was meticulously kept. 7 plates on the table, 7 chairs, 7 neatly made beds. Too exhausted to question the oddity, she ate a morsel of bread, drank a bit of water, and collapsed into sleep. When the owners returned, 7 dwarves, miners hardened by years beneath the earth, they were astonished to find a child sleeping in their home. Their first instinct wasn't kindness, but caution. Who was she? Why was she here? But when Snow White awoke and told her story, their suspicion softened. Still, their offer came with conditions. They would protect her, they said. But she must earn her place, cook their meals, clean their home, and keep everything in order. It was not charity, but a pact of necessity. For Snow White, it was survival. For the dwarves, it was convenience. But safety in the grim forest never lasts long. Back at the castle, the queen once again turned to her mirror, her voice dripping with arrogance. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? The answer made her blood run cold. Snow White still lived. Consumed by fury, the queen disguised herself and ventured into the forest. Her visits grew darker each time. First, a laced bodice meant to strangle, then a poisoned comb, and finally, the cursed apple. The queen was no longer merely jealous. She had become something far worse, a predator in the guise of beauty. One bite can end a life, and in Grimm's world, it nearly did. The queen, her jealousy now a black fire consuming her, set her most sinister plan into motion. She disguised herself as an old peddler woman and carried a basket of apples, their bright red skin gleaming in the dim forest light. But these were no ordinary apples. One was perfectly safe, the other laced with a potent poison designed to end a life with a single bite. To prove her innocence, she ate the harmless half in front of Snow White, smiling through wrinkles that concealed malice. Snow White, cautious yet naive, hesitated. But the child's curiosity and trust in appearances betrayed her. She bit into the poisoned half, unaware that her teeth had sealed a fate far grimmer than any forest nightmare. Within moments, her body stiffened, her eyelids fluttering before collapsing in what appeared to be a death-like slumber. The dwarves, discovering her collapsed form, were stricken with panic. They tried everything to revive her: herbal remedies, cold water, desperate prayers. But nothing could awaken her from the poison's grip. In despair, they built a glass coffin, preserving her ethereal beauty for all to see. Trapped between life and death. The coffin wasn't an act of love or reverence. It was a monument to innocence lost, a reminder of the relentless cruelty lurking just beyond the cottage walls. Outside, the forest waited, silent yet watchful, as the queen's shadow receded. Each twig snapped, an owl's cry felt like a threat, a reminder that the danger was not gone. The poisoned apple had accomplished more than murder. It had transformed the forest into a cage, where fear and death lingered in every corner, and the line between salvation and doom had become unbearably thin. Happily Ever After doesn't save everyone. Some endings are forged in fire. Snow White's revival was not gentle or magical. The prince, moving her glass coffin, dislodged the poisoned apple from her throat, and her eyes fluttered open, but not with relief or joy. There was an undercurrent of something else, a quiet, simmering resolve. The world that had tried to destroy her innocence would pay its due. When the time came for her wedding, the queen, still consumed by pride and unaware of the depth of her own undoing, was invited under the guise of celebration. The guests, unaware of what was to unfold, murmured and whispered, sensing a tension thick enough to choke the air. Then the punishment began. Red-hot iron shoes were placed upon her feet, forcing her into a dance of agony. Each step seared flesh, and with every step, the queen's screams echoed through the hall, a terrifying symphony of envy and pain. The dwarves and court members did not falter. They watched, ensuring justice was absolute. There was no mercy, no final reprieve, no glimmer of redemption. The queen, whose obsession with beauty and dominance had led to unimaginable cruelty, was brought low. Her ambition and malice burned away, leaving only the echo of her wrath. This conclusion is not sugar-coated. It is a stark reminder envy leads to destruction. Cruelty demands consequences, and innocence may survive only when the wicked are utterly undone. In the grim tale, happily ever after is a warning, not a promise. Snow White's story ends not with songs, but with the knowledge that some evil cannot be tamed, only extinguished. Snow White's tale, as told by the Brothers Grimm, is a chilling reminder of how far fairy tales once strayed from the happy endings we know today. Instead of love conquering all, the story warns of envy, betrayal, and the darkness that festers within human hearts. Disney's Snow White may sing with birds and dream of love, but the grim version lingers in shadow, where stepmothers eat what they believe are their children's organs, where innocence is traded for survival, and where justice burns hotter than any fire. If you enjoyed uncovering the true origins of this classic story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another hidden tale. And remember, when you look back at your favorite fairy tales, don't forget to look beyond the fog.